Well, welcome everyone. I have the privilege and honor introducing our guest speaker tonight, who is Susanne Cunningham, who is a three-star diamond director, but also a dear friend of mine and my sponsor into USANA. So her and John have led the group and to the level of their and three-star diamond, but the rest of us have rank advanced from, for myself, gold, ruby, emerald. And in fact, this is the week when Hope was born that I rank advanced to gold. And then this is the week I went rank advanced to ruby. And this is the week I rank advanced to emerald. So this must be my lucky week or something. She said, Mom, you got to pick a different date to rank advanced to diamond. Do not pick my birthday. So anyway, all those rank advances, I basically followed Suzanne's methodology, her roadmap to success, and I thought I could teach it, or I could actually ask Susanne to share how that methodology came around and why she put it in a book and how it's helped the team grow over the years. So Susanne, take it away.
Thank you very much. So I am going to pause my thoughts for a moment, just get it into share screen, and then I will be with you.
And Susanne has celebrated 25 years in USANA. They were one of the first people to join in Canada. And I probably joined 6 months after you did, Susanne.
Is that right? So I started in March 1995, and you started?
August. So I was still classified as one of the legacy leaders, joining in the first 6 months the company opened in Canada.
And so you just missed the first convention that I went to, and yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, Sheila, for the introduction. And yes, it's been quite a ride. So I think what I'll do is I'll just share a little bit about my story, since we have someone new here and it's being recorded for their new associate as well. But I started this business initially somewhat by surprise, because there was nothing on my to-do list about starting a new business. But a friend, an associate of mine from another world, said there was something I needed to take a look at. And I remember rolling my eyes and thinking, I don't have time for this. I've got so much to do. I've got 3 little boys. They're 3, 5, and 7. I'm running a business. I'm earning a 6-figure income. My life's busy. My husband's happy in a career in management. And I really didn't think I had time for anything. But, it was nice to hear from this guy, but I really wasn't interested. And he followed up with me and asked me again. And I said, well, I'll see what I can do. And so when I mentioned it at home that I was going to go on Saturday to a luncheon, my husband said, well, we don't have time for this. Like, why would you go? And he really thought that he had won the battle. And I wasn't going to go to the meeting. But on the Saturday I went, I started to get dressed and showered and whatnot. And he thought, where's she going? He said, I thought that I had convinced her, but he hadn't. And as I left the door that day, he said, out the door, he said, don't buy anything and don't sign anything. So I left without having very much support at home. And my mom was visiting actually at the same time. So this meeting went on for a long time because this presenter came late and it was a breakfast luncheon, and it extended a little bit longer than you might have expected. So when I finally got home, I knew for sure that I was in deep trouble. Everybody had been talking about me, and I'm always up to something, and what's she doing now, and where has she been? And anyway, and I remember my mom saying to me, you're not going to do that thing, are you? And I said, what thing might that be, Mom? And she said, that vitamin thing. And I said, well, I don't know if I will or I won't, but why? And she said, because everyone's doing that vitamin thing. Well, back then I took it as criticism, and I thought that it was putting me down and trying to slow me down. But in hindsight, what else should I be doing for a business? If everybody's doing that vitamin thing, it must be a good business. What should I do? Sell typewriters? Should I, what was the business to be in at the time? Who knows? But something that people wanted would be a good thing. And my husband was very skeptical. And the only reason I like to share that is there's so often we as women, or men for that matter, find our spouses are very resistant to what we're doing or wanting to do. And so John was very, very skeptical, very resistant to look at anything. Remember, he said, don't buy anything, don't sign anything. Remember, he said that we were busy people, we had too much on our plate, and he just wouldn't look at this. And so it became very frustrating, and I almost didn't do this. So when the follow-up came, which is really part of what we're going to talk about today, but when that follow-up came from Rennie, who had invited me to the meeting, and he said, what do you think? You want to get started? And I said, you know, Rennie, I don't want you to hold your breath. I said, I don't want to say no, but I can't say yes. I'm not getting support from my husband. And I just not feeling like I want to step over that. And poor guy, he just didn't know what to say or do. So he hung up the phone and thanked me for my time. And that was the end of that. A few minutes later, a phone rang again, only this time it was the man who had done the presentation. And he asked the same questions. What do you think? You want to get started? And I said, funny, I just talked to Rennie and I just told him the same thing. Don't hold your breath. You know, my husband's not supporting me right now on this whole thing. And I don't want to say no, but I can't say yes. Now that sentence in itself is loaded, right? I wanted to say yes, but I couldn't. Anyway, this fellow, whose name was Ron, he was more than happy to throw one question out at me. And that was, what needs to happen? And I said, John needs to hear it from someone other than me. He won't listen to me. And by my being able to figure out a solution, all I had to do was then invite John to take a listen, because Ron said, I'm in town. I could actually come and show it to him. So I bravely went to the stairs of my office and called up to John and said, you know that guy that presented the information to me the other day, last week? I said, he'd like to come and present to you. And John paused and finally said, whatever. And I took that as a yes. And I went back to Ron and said, okay. He said, yes. He said, I can be there in 20 minutes. So 20 minutes later, Ron knocked on the door, sat at the dining room table with John and I, who John was very resistant. But within a half an hour, he said yes. And he said, I'll take the products. And I said, well, I'll do the business. And Ron got the paperwork out, and we were associates within 30 minutes of his arriving at the door. Now, what had happened? Well, I wanted to do the business. I didn't know if I wanted the products or not, but I knew I wanted the business and I would learn about the products. John had decided, and I don't think he realized it right in that moment either, but John had decided that his reason, his why, was that his mother had passed away when she was 38 years old. John was only 6 at the time. And he was in a similar age. And he said that it struck him that maybe he should do something for his health. That having 3 little boys that he did not want to leave behind for any reason, he wanted to be healthier. So this was a guy that had never taken a supplement, never really thought about eating vegetables for that matter. He used to say that what he ate was beige and brown and off-white. And that was kind of his diet. You'd never know by looking at him, but from a health point of view, he knew he could do better. So that was my introduction to this whole business. So we got started very quickly. And in 25 and a half years, John and I have earned a check every week with the exception of 3 weeks, which were in the first 6 weeks. And that was simply because you had to hit markers back then that were even numbers. And if you didn't reach them, then it would either store and pay you the next week, or it would bring you all the way to 0, and then you were starting from 0. So it was a very different looking compensation plan back then. And all that meant is that instead of a $100 check, we got a $200, and then we missed one, and then we got another $200, and then we missed one, and we got another $200. And from then on, we never missed a check after that. So very convinced that the business works. And the business works because we worked the business. That was really the key. Our mentor, Ron, was someone who had done network marketing before, and he was more than willing to share everything that he had ever learned in the industry. He was excellent at team building. He was excellent at sharing his knowledge and helping other people to achieve their success. And he was our mentor, and we often called him our tormentor because he didn't take no for an answer, and he would really push you along the way. But what being laser focused, your roadmap to success is what he taught us. So in 1998, so I started in 95. In 1998, England opened in USANA, and we decided that we would start working there. And it was very much cold market. It was, nobody knew anyone there from John, myself, Ron. I had a couple of contacts. One was a babysitter for the boys. She was from England. And another lady from Manitoba, but she was married to a British man. And he happened to be back in England because his mom had just passed away. So I asked her to ask him to bring some newspapers home so that I could read them through and learn about England a little bit and the people of England a little bit. Very different time than sitting and Googling or, you know, watching YouTube stuff or whatever it might be. A very, very different time than it is today. And that's how we started in England. And so between John, my husband, Ron, our mentor, and myself, we spent 47 out of 52 weeks working in England. So one would go 2-3 weeks, the other one they'd come home, the other one would go, and we went back and forth. And we raised our families by missing out on a couple of weeks at a time. Again, a very different time than we have today, where we can use this resource and we could be talking to people across the globe without ever having to hop on an airplane. So when we worked with these people in England, we had a very strong system here in Manitoba where we did trainings, just like you're doing this Zoom call, only we'd do weekly meetings or every couple of week trainings, Saturday events. We had so much togetherness and teamwork and training. So when we were in England, we would be very close with these people, but we couldn't seem to get them to grasp on to what we were showing them to do, so that when we weren't there, they would keep working. And that was what was the cause or the motivation to write this and put it into a manual form, if you will. So this is not like, people often say that this is an easy read. Being laser focused, A Roadmap to Success is an easy read. Well, that's nice. It's not about the reading, it's about the doing of what it says in the book. It's like having me sit beside you. It's like having me on your shoulder and guiding you through the process. Now, Sheila's been an excellent example and student of using this system. And I think any of us as leaders realize that it's easy to get sidetracked or have other things on the go or to be, you know, things just are happening and we don't really think about the system that we're following. But the foundation of what we've created by using this system is really, really strong. And if we ever need to really refocus and get back at it, then using this system is going to make a difference, which we learned when we were Emerald and our mentor passed away. So 7 years into the business, our mentor passed away. And when that happened, we were obviously all in shock. It was a brain aneurysm, so it was very unexpected. And John and I went from, you know, being Emerald for quite a while at that point to making a decision that we were going to be very focused on our business, be the glue that kept it stuck together, and really focus on moving another level. Because moving along in the levels and going from Emerald, which is 3 maxed out business centers, to Diamond, which is 4 maxed out business centers, with a different compensation plan again than we have today, similar but different, was a lot to bite off. But what did we do? We went back to basics. And back to basics meant using the system. So the story that I've given you right now is really to help you understand that the movement of business and the opportunity will have a lot to do with our activity. John and I achieved a lot of things in this business, and 28 years, yes, I did do networking once before, and it was a favorite product. It was jewelry, and it didn't last long, and it did teach me the binary plan, but it wasn't consumable and couldn't continue as a company. Having all of the training that I had received through that company and then finding USANA was really, really powerful, because I was able to take what I had learned and really execute it with that knowledge, and together with having a consumable product that the consumer was looking for. So back then it was very at the beginning stages, if you will. People didn't know what an antioxidant was before. Today, you know, antioxidants are in our gum, probiotics are all the talk and the rage, vitamins in our skincare. I mean, the conversations are so different than they were when we started 25 years ago. John and I achieved the Dr. Wen's Vision Award, $1 Million Club. We were top income earners, one of the top 25 income earners globally for 10 years consecutively. So none of that would have happened without that mentorship, without the consistent training, without treating it like a business, and without being able to always go back to basics to build our business. So without a doubt, any journey, it starts with a few steps. And you know where you want to end up. And these days, you know, we can Google and we can see exactly where we're going, but anything can happen. There can be roadblocks, there can be detours, there can be shiny things that take our attention. There's so many things that can get us off track. But without a doubt, if we know where we want to go and we're willing to start moving toward it, then we'll be amazed at what we get. A system is the magic. If you can have a system that you can follow on a regular basis so that it becomes so second nature. Network marketing is not necessarily normal for people. And yet on the other hand, it's really normal because people make referrals all the time. They just don't get paid for it. So it's to help them figure out how what they do naturally really is what this business is about. And also being able to move quite quickly in the business. You don't need to know everything about the products. You don't need to know everything about the industry to build this business because of the teamwork aspect. And exponential growth is when it's growing faster than you could do it by yourself. And that's where our compensation plan is so supportive. Excuse me. So using a system is going to save time. And for me, that was a really big deal. Everything about my being, I think from the moment I was born, is about freedom. So the freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want, with whoever I want, that's important to me. But it can get you into trouble too, because you might get a little having too much fun with the freedom part and forget to earn the freedom. And there is a factor in the whole concept of needing to earn our freedom. Excuse me, it's going to save anxiety. I know I had a glass of water with me. Anyway, I'll do my best here. It saves on anxiety, that uncertainty about what to do next or how much time to spend doing it. That's a huge anxiety for people. Sucks their energy, sucks their freedom factor, feels chaotic. So if you can have a system and it can take all that away, that's good motivation for having a system. It will teach you the disciplines and the habits early in the game. And in the early stages, it's going to help you as an associate to do the things you need to do to be productive, to create the results that you want. And then as you move forward and you start to have a team, now it gives you a tool that you don't have to make up. You don't have to create. And even if you don't believe in yourself enough yet to be a leader, you have a system in your hand that you know how to use because you've been using it. And you can guide them to do the same thing as you just did. Sandy, you made a comment a few minutes ago that you've been there, you've done that, you know it works. That's huge difference. And because of that, it gives you a strength. And that's the same thing with using the system and then offering it to someone else to help them to be as good at this as you, or possibly better, which is also a really cool thing because our business is amplified when we find people better than us at this business. So that's something that we welcome. And it's duplicatable. And that just simply means it's something that they can follow and do what you did. The old saying, if one person can, anyone can, is true. It may take them a different amount of time. It may take some study. It may take a slightly different path. But if one person can do it, anyone can do it. It's just a matter of experiencing it and being taught and doing it. So with our business and pretty much anything, you'll notice this isn't necessarily rocket science. You could apply this concept to many things in your life along with your USANA business. But your activity times your particular action equals your results. So what that tells me is I need to do something. What that tells me is that I have to be doing the right activities, the right action, and I'm going to get the results, my results based on my action. So if I choose not to do something, I'm going to maybe not get the results I'd like. Or if I do more of something, I may get more results than I thought. So it's very, very important to be involved and you can create your own outcomes. And again, like I said about our compensation plan, because you get paid on your activity, but also on the activity of your team, it actually is magnifying exponentially your growth by the numbers of people you have in your business and the income that you can earn. And I said earlier that freedom is really important to me. And somewhere along my maturing, I realized that discipline was the key. I'm going to go find that glass of water and I'll be right back. Take it over, Sheila.
Sure. So when Susanne went to England, Susanne, John, and Ron, I mean, that was a huge, huge commitment for them. Can you imagine? John, Susanne, they had 3 little boys. Ron Dowie had a daughter as well, very young. And they spent that much time, that 1 year, commuting back and forth to England. You know, think of the time away from family and the cost, but they believed so strongly in Dr. Wentz's vision and the desire to expand their team internationally that they spent a lot of time. And out of necessity, Susanne developed this methodology and documented it. So it's the commitment that you, Ron, and John showed in going to England that many trips is really, I mean, it's almost incomprehensible now. But I do remember you doing it. And that's a huge commitment, opening up a new country.
Yeah, and when we came back home, people were like, oh, tell me what it's like, and I want to do it, and give me some instructions. And I remember having like 15 people in my living room, and I opened the presentation by saying, if you don't mind sleeping in some unknown bed, room, sharing a bathroom, sharing facilities, not having your car keys and driving because they drive on the opposite side of the road, not having any of your comforts because you can only travel with whatever it is that you can carry in your suitcase, then this is for you. So I didn't motivate them to jump in an airplane and get over there any time too quickly. But what I was trying to get at is it's not an easy peasy thing. It's commitment, and it's giving something up now for the future. And I would say that what I gained from that experience was massive, because I learned to travel alone as a woman. I learned that I could be a great wife, mother, and business owner at the same time. I could see the world. I became a great adventurer from it. I really sense a power or an empowerment as a woman doing this business. The UK was not that ready for USANA at when we went. I mean, we had some success, but it was not as fast and easy as we might have hoped, as it was a new country. They had a lot of beliefs of, wait and see, which caused us a lot of determination, and commitment had to be there. But yeah, what I gained from it, I never had to pay taxes on. It's all inside. It's personal growth and development. It's something that I can't imagine what my life would have been like had I not had that experience. So,
well, the other thing, Susanne, is you led by example. So I maybe didn't go over to England, but I did model you by traveling a lot. I mean, those up until just recently, I did a lot of traveling building USANA when the kids were young. I remember one of my trips, I went to Halifax with Hope. She was 6 months old. I was breastfeeding, so I couldn't leave her at home. So I took her with me to work with a nurse who I'd sponsored in Halifax, complete stranger, taking my 6-month-old and basically sleeping with her in the basement together on a strange bed in a cold basement to build this business. I mean, so you definitely led by example, and I followed your example. I modeled you, and because of that, you have a strong business, I have a strong business, and we have really great memories and experiences I would never have had other than with USANA, doing all the traveling I have, all the way to Mexico and every place else. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, being able to duplicate, which is just mentioned a moment ago, duplication is key. People see what we do, and those that want what you have will do what you do. And that's what I always say: if you want something, follow someone that has what you want. And in our case, it was a strong business. It was being paid consistently and building a team. So those people that wanted those things are still doing them today and helping other people to do it today. And I'm more excited for people than ever because now it is, it's got a new level of, I don't want to call it easy, but it's a new level of interest, because if they never figured it out before, they need to look after their health with what we're going through right now. If they've never heard of Zoom before or doing, you know, meetings online before, that suddenly is very obvious to them. Many people have been forced to work from home and now they learn that they can do it. And they're buying online more than they were before, probably because they were locked down. And so imagine now if they could earn from home and earn from online. It just kind of melds it all together. So the question we have to ask these people that we know that have had these changes, and you're looking for the one that says, yes, I'm ready, is would you like to have an opportunity where you can actually earn from an industry that is, and a product that is so needed today and people are so interested in today, and doing it all from online. And online, I mean like this, but of course there's social media as well. And then there's just that rapport that you have with people that you know and the people we care about. So I'm not going to go through an absolute training of the program, but I do want to make sure that you understand some of the key things. And one of them is belief. So yes, my belief was that strong that yes, I hopped in that flying chariot and went to England multiple times, and there was a huge commitment. I believed enough in myself that I'd survive, you know, living in a stranger's home and meeting new people and be able to present and train and develop them. So believing in yourself. I believed enough in others that if I was a person who could find interest and motivation and a need for these products, that other people would as well. And over the time, and not initially, but I did earn my first checks before I ever believed in the products 100%. I believed in the concept of the products. I believed in the value they could bring people, but I didn't have a story yet, and I didn't have an experience with them yet. I had other people's stories, and I yet believed enough in the company and products. But to have somebody like me here 25 years later, Phyllis 24 years, Sheila almost 25 years later, using these products, strong belief. There's no shortage of belief in the company and the products. And a belief in the industry, which is network marketing. And that's part of the reason that I shared with you that, that we've earned a check every week in 25 and a half years, except for 3 weeks. And the industry works. The power of people telling people, the power of people sharing and working with one another definitely works. To build our belief, though, we have to be consistent and look after that belief constantly, because we will get, you know, kicked in the shins once in a while, or we'll think it should be faster and it won't be as fast as we think it should be. And so we have to keep building on our belief. We have to watch who we're spending time with. And I would never say lose your friends, but I would pay attention to who you listen to when it comes to doing a business, because again, make sure you're listening to the people who have what you want. Pay attention to what you're reading, and you know, keep developing yourself personally, because I think that's more important than anything else, actually, is having strong personal development. And we have to be open-minded, because if we're not open-minded, then we can't expect the people that we're talking to be open-minded. And we will grow. You won't recognize yourself later. As amazing as you are today, you can be mega times more amazing by doing something like this business. And your belief will build based on the challenges you take on and the successes you have and how you play with a team. The whole goal thing, I'm sure Sheila's already worked with you all when it comes to goals, but you really need to think about what you want, because it doesn't matter what I wanted or what Sheila wanted. It matters what you want. It matters what's important to you. And if Sheila pushes you along the way to really help you get clear on it, it's for good reason, because the more clear you are on what you want, the more likely you've got the fuel to get there. So what do you want to be, do, and have? And I think that's the right order, because it'll, Sandy, you mentioned your belief in Wendy has something to do with the way she bees, right? It's the way she is as a person that makes all the difference in the world, and that's what helps you be interested. And whatever your timeline is, you can do this faster or slower. You do have to let go of the outcome and not expect everyone to say yes or everyone to be ready in your timeline, but rather that you are doing a consistent activity so that you're never at a loss for somebody looking at this opportunity. And it's your commitment. And the whole commitment thing is key. You know, if you can make USANA your A priority in your life and you know where it fits in your life so that you can fit in everything you want to do, including USANA. And it fits in like brushing your teeth. You know, it doesn't take long, but you do it every day. That sort of commitment. And your character will build. You will meet roadblocks, but you'll learn to overcome them. And you'll even meet some of that anti-intention. When you think you're the most on your game, it'll be like something called resistance that will challenge you. And you just have to go past it, knowing that it's just a little knock on the door to see if you really want this or not. At the end, I've got a little quote that I'll share with you on that. And in the book, I mention, we talk a lot about, you know, knowing your why. And your why is something that is very personal. And it's not really a goal. It's not about, you know, having a new car. And if it is, if you think it's having a new car, then you want to know why you want a new car and what would a new car mean in your life, because it's that real sentimental, emotional, gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching reason that you want anything. That's your why. And that's what fuels you. And that's what makes you do what you do no matter what. So you'll want to figure that out as you go along as well. Now, our binary system, you know, it's kind of, you know, you tell two people who tell two people who tell two people. And if everybody kept telling two people, they would be able to build their business. And now with the compensation plan the way it is, there's other ways of earning without having two people in the business. But ideally, you've got a team, one on the left, one on the right, to start building with. But the reality is that you really have to focus on building in the power of one. So think of this as a 12-month process. And so you don't have to sponsor thousands yourself. It's about how you build with a team. So in month one, you sponsor one person. So I would say to someone, do you believe that you can find one person a month to do what you do, which means build the business? And the answer is usually yes. One person a month, that's believable. One in 30 days, that's believable. So then, perfect. So you sponsor your first person in your first month. In your second month, you want to do the same thing. So you sponsor your one person. You already have one person, and they sponsor their first person. Now you have 3 people in your business. In month 3, you have 3 people in the business, each sponsoring their one, plus you sponsor your one. Now there's 7 in the business. Then 7 people in the business, each sponsoring their own, making it 14, and you sponsor your one more, now there's 15. That 15 mark is about the spot where most people will think of quitting. It's just not moving fast enough. Only 15 people in my business, it's not moving fast enough. But look what happens as you go into the 5th and 6th and 7th month. So if 15 people get one person to join them each, plus you sponsor your one, still only sponsoring one a month, you'll have 31 in your business. Your business has doubled. Then there's 63, 127, 255, 511, 1023, 2047, and 4,095. Wow. If you had 4,000 people in your business, you could be an Emerald Director making 3,000 US a week, every week. Magic, right? But what if half of those people quit? What if half of those people quit and you only had 1,000 people in your business? Well, depending on where they're positioned, it's still possible to be an Emerald Director, earning 3,000 US a week, plus bonuses. So not everyone does what they say they will do. Not everyone is who they say they are. But if you follow a system, and what have you got to lose in this case? You've sponsored 12 people in a year. That's it. And help them to do the same thing. Duplication, using a system, and having room for it not to all follow suit, and having some people back off and maybe just be customers. Because a lot of people will stay as customers, love the product, not be willing to do the work to be in the business. but you don't need everyone. You need a few good people to lead and build a business. And when I first started in this business, we didn't have preferred customers. So we weren't able to, most people, if they wanted the best price for the products, they would get into the business. So we would see a lot more fallout than you see today, because most people will, or a lot of people will choose, if they want to be a customer, to be a customer. And if they want to be in the business, to be in the business. And a lot of our best preferred customers can be sponsored into the business as well. So lots of opportunity. Accountability is really important. So again, this is that team thing that we're talking about here, and talking to you as a team. So ideally, first and foremost, we're going to hold ourselves accountable to ourselves. Look in the mirror and say, did I do it? Yes, no. And, you know, no good stories, no big stories, just doing it. But the reality is the good news is that we're our own boss. That's kind of a tongue twister. I'm going to change the phrase. We are our own boss. The bad news, though, is that we are our own boss. So there's just us. If we want to hide away and not tell anybody what's really going on or not going on, we can sneak around about it. But if we become accountable to our team and to one another and our sponsor, our upline, then that kind of gets stronger. You're suddenly working with somebody and you're being mentored along the way. And remember, I said that our mentor was our tormentor, not because he was hard on us, only that he held us to what we said we would do. And that's what made the difference. Ron, our mentor, went gold in 4 months. He did 99 meetings in 99 days, just as an example. So that was the example that we were following. We were never quite as awesome as he was, but in 9 months, we did go gold. So we achieved that 1,000 US a week marker 4 weeks in a row and went gold. Solid gold within a few weeks beyond that, getting bonuses. So again, how did we do it? We used the system. So this is basically the system. The system meaning, how can you, in 5 to 10 hours a week, achieve an income that would allow you to fire your boss or just have a really great income from part-time activity. And anybody can find this 5 to 10 hours a week. And it's what we did. I mean, Sheila, I'm sure as well. Traveling, being a parent. I mean, there was only so much time, but you use your time much more wisely. And then remember, I said it was about the activities that we do and them being the producing activities. So when I talked about personal development and stuff, you don't see any spot here where there's personal development fitting in. You fit that in when you're, I don't know, self-care in the bathtub or something, or when you go to a weekend event and the books that you read. But this whole roadmap to success has everything to do with activities that will bring you to the results that you're looking for. So what are they? There are things like a contact. So making an appointment and asking for the opportunity to do a presentation. The follow-ups, the hot points, a term that I created, but the gist of it being the conversations that you have with people, whether it's at a sporting event, whether it's at a party, whether it's on a Zoom group call of some sort, and you hear somebody talking about their health, their fears, their money, anything that is like a little tag that makes you go, think they're sounding kind of ready for something. Should talk to them, or I'm concerned for them. So a hot point is just looking for what is their hot button, what is their hot point. And it's something that you can do where you're not presenting, it's only that you're listening or asking great questions. The presentations, and you see on the right-hand side, it says how much time it takes to do this. So it takes 14 minutes to make a phone call a day, 2-minute phone call. It takes an hour a week to do your follow-ups, which are 10-minute calls doing a follow-up based on either a presentation or information that you've sent someone. The presentation appointments. If you're really efficient and also realize that however you present the opportunity, people think they have to do as well. So the idea is to keep your presentations short and sweet and to the point and to their interest. Then you can do 2 presentations in 2 hours. And of course, with Zoom and other opportunities, you could have multiple people in those hours as well. So you can really magnify your success. The support, once you sponsor somebody, that's one of your 12, helping them to achieve what you're doing is to support them. And that'll be anything from helping them to learn the process to being there as their sidekick when they are presenting, because they're still learning. Having 10 packages out, that doesn't take any time at all. And it could be anything like sending a video, sending them a printed piece of material, just emailing or sending them through any messaging system, something that they're reading, watching, reading, so that they can move their knowledge to a place of being ready to say, yes, I want to give this a try. And then, of course, the whole concept of sponsoring, which is production as well. And so learning to ask for the order. So that's the key of the roadmap and what needs to be done. You know, the concept of whenever you're doing any one part of that, remember it's a chat with a purpose. Chat to invite, chat to present, chat to learn more about them. It's a conversation, you know, a dialogue so that you are learning more. If your person, your prospect can tell you all the reasons why they should sign up, you don't ever have to say a word. That would be okay, right? So if they know they need better health, if they know supplements make a difference, if they know they want quality, if they know there's a lot of junk out there, if they know they need their immune system to be strong, and they tell you all those things through great questions you ask, all you need to do is wrap it up with a little bow and tell them about USANA in a quick, easy way. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time, but you just want to be clear on what you're doing. The follow-up, you know that you want to move them a little bit further, a little closer to saying, yes, let me try these products, or yes, I want to do the business with you. Yeah, and so those are the key kind of activities that are producing, productive, getting results. And you can't quit. It's just not allowed to quit. Never, never, never quit, because it's an odds business, and meaning that the activity done consistently will create the results. It will. It's just that, you know, if I call one person, will I always get an appointment? No, but if I call 10 people, I will get 3 appointments, 4 appointments. I might get so good at asking for appointments, I might get all 10. But, you know, you've got to ask for more to get a few. If you're expecting 10 people, there's a lady that messaged me the other day, and she said that she has 21 people were coming on to a sip and scrub, I think they called it. So they're doing a Zoom party, sip and scrub. So take your choice of drink, whatever it might be, and they're going to talk about the Celavive products. And she has 21 people. And she messaged the other day and told me she's now got 24 people coming on to her sip and scrub. Awesome. I'll be curious to see how many actually show up. Over invite, right? Over deliver. That's all she can do. What the others do will be up to them. But having 24 people on a Zoom is way easier to handle than 24 people around your kitchen table. So she's on the right track by getting as many people to see this as possible and using the systems that are out there. I talked about accountability. Accountability is important, and so I recommend hard copy tracking. There are lots of things we could do now with our phones and with apps and online and so on. But rather than me spend time teaching somebody what app to use or how to use an app, I prefer people to see something tangible and work with something hard copy. This kind of weekly tracking is going to help you see where your holes are, right? Because if you're not doing your contacts or you're not doing your follow-ups, it's going to become evident on this tracking form. If you are training your people and they're using this tracking form and they show you what they've done all week, you'll be able to take a glance at this after a while and go, I know exactly where the problem is. And the sooner you can realize it, the sooner you can solve it. So if it's you yourself and you're tracking your own business and you're tracking who you contact, follow up, etc., then when you show it to your sponsor and show them what you've done, they can look at it and guide you and train you in the parts, in the areas of where you most need assistance. So this helps you, like I said, to save time, not waste time, not talk to everybody you know and then find out, oh, I should have done it a different way. Or sending something to everyone and then realizing that it gets lost in the shuffle. Instead, this is a nice systematic way to track your activity and to track your results so that you know if you talk to 10 people and invite them, how many actually show up. Jim Rohn says that success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying basic fundamentals. And he once said that if there's ever a contest, he will always win. Why? Because he will have been working the business. He'll know his odds. He'll know that if he talks to 10, he'll get 4 and 1 will get in the business. Whatever his odds are, they may not be the best odds, but if he knows what he needs to do to win, he will just multiply the numbers out, talk to more people to get more results. So when you've got that kind of knowledge, then you become super powerful. And the other thing that will become very evident is that you need it to be consistent. Because if it's not consistent, you know what it's like starting from scratch. You know, if you had a gigantic, 10,000 pound marble that you were trying to push along the yard, and even on a flat surface, you would have to huff and puff and push and push and push to get it rolling. But once it has some momentum, it starts to roll with great ease. But if it stops, if you stop pushing it and you let it slow down by its own gravity, if you will, and it slows down and to a stop, you can imagine how hard it is to get started again. And you can never quite get it started as fast as you want when it's time for some big special that's on or some contest or some opportunity. So always have people in the funnel. And I said that I would mention, this whole concept of having challenge. And I think challenge is invigorating. I think challenge is inevitable. One of our diamond directors, Karen, said to me the other day by text something about the uncertainty, this global uncertainty stew that we are in right now. And I saw the word uncertainty and I thought to myself, we're always uncertain. We can be certain about what we want. We can be certain about where we want to go. We can be certain about ourselves, but it's always uncertain what we're going to meet or what our challenges might be or what might get in the way. We never know what it might be, but at least if we know where we're going, we know whether to go around it, through it, over it. And Randy Pausch, I don't know if any of you have read the last lecture, but I would strongly recommend it. Puts life into perspective pretty darn quick. Randy Pausch had a rare cancer and he was an engineer, I believe. It's been a while since I've read the book, but I believe he was an engineer. And as an engineer in his particular career, when they retired, they always gave a last lecture. That was like their going away celebration. They were able to speak to everyone. It would be their final last lecture. Well, Randy Pausch took it to a whole new level because he knew he was dying. And so his last lecture would definitely be his last lecture in his life. So when you read the book, you really take perspective of what our lives are like and what our possibilities are. But I really appreciated many of the messages in the book, and this one stuck with me. But the brick walls are there for a reason. The brick walls are not there to keep us out. The brick walls are there to give us a chance to show how badly we want something. Because the brick walls are there to stop the people who don't want it badly enough. They're here to stop the other people. And so if you hear no's or you see people that don't follow through, remember this. Pick up that book, keep it handy. Remember somebody like Sheila who went gold while she was in labor, right? She wanted it badly enough. She didn't just say, oh, well, next time, which would have been months and months later because she was on her last week of going gold. So, and then ruby, and then emerald. Those are the kinds of things that are, it's, not stories about birthday parties and whatever. There's always a way. There's always a way to do it. It's just a matter of how much you want it. So in a nutshell, that is being laser focused, your roadmap to success. I've thrown a few other nuggets in there. I hope that you can see the value of having a system and something that you can follow. The book is, like I said, a quick read. It's just a short book, but it's not about the read, it's about the activity. And I would recommend that you don't even waste your time reading it and then doing it. I would recommend you open it up and you just start following the process. And if you've already done some of the work like goals and your why and so on with Sheila, then that's perfect. Then you're already partway there. Just maybe touch it up, add to it, put it all together so that you've got it in one place and you know where your USANA material is at all times. And then take it to the next step and the next step. And it'll be the most valuable time that you can ever spend because you're learning while you're earning. You are building and growing into it while you're already earning. And the only other thing that I can throw in there is that you work closely with your teammates. You work closely with your upline, and you be an example for one another, because people's perception as a prospect, as somebody hearing about this for the first time, their perception is super powerful. So if they think it looks easy, then they'll expect it to be easy. And having some guidance is really helpful. If they think that you're so awesome at it and everything about you and your life and your background and your experience makes it good for you, they may talk themselves out of it. But if you work with them and they can have all of those parts of you alongside with them, they will be able to move more quickly while they're learning to earn. And so it just becomes a real super powerful experience. So yeah, I think that's it. That's in a nutshell, that's what it is. And when I wrote the book, I wrote it as a team system, something that the team could use. And every new associate could get a copy of the book. Every new assistant would use associate would use the program and do the accountability and so on. And I said that, all I wanted was to hear somebody walk over to me and say, Suzanne, because of the roadmap, I went gold. And I've heard that more than a few times. But when I was in Australia, it was probably the most outstanding moment of the experience, because it was someone that had bought the book, didn't know the lady. But anyway, we were in Australia, we were going to speak, we were in the backstage area. And this Australian lady came to me and she said, are you Susanne Cunningham? And I said, I am. She said, I just want you to know, because of being laser focused, your roadmap to success, I went gold. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm backstage. And that's why I'm going to speak today. And I just felt like, those goals that you set and those declarations that you make had been fulfilled. It was so cool. And now she has her teams using the system and they're going gold. And it's, she's just one of many. But it was just one of those experiences that made it go, see, it does work. And it's not just me. And it wasn't just Ron. This is for everyone. So that's what I would recommend, is that you use it as a system tool and a team tool to make your life a whole lot easier and to be able to see the results that you can get from the activities that you're putting in.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. That was absolutely outstanding. That was great. That was great. And it is a great system. It's a simple system, but extremely powerful because of the simplicity. And I do still use those paper sheets. I found, it's simple but effective, and you can easily look and you can say, oh, I'm working the business so hard. And you look at it and think, well, I haven't really prospected very many people this week or last week. Maybe this is why the business isn't growing. It's very obvious if there's activity that's income producing activity or not. You can be thinking about it all the time, but unless we're doing the income producing activity, our business won't grow. So thank you, Suzanne. Again, that was fabulous. And I remember before we went gold, remember that training we did, silver streaked gold? There was a whole bunch of us that were silvers. Rory, I think Joe, Lancelot, there was a few others, and you ran in your living room as silver streaked to gold. And we followed this methodology and we competed, and it was friendly competition, but all our businesses just excelled, and it was fantastic. So
yeah, it's many people. Shelley Pellucci, same story, was on stage, won as part of a big contest that USANA put on pre-convention. And the way she did it, she was brand new. And the way she did it was following the system.
Yeah, system works. Phyllis suggested that we buy 5 copies and make sure when we sponsor new people that they get it in their hands. I agree. Because I know Phyllis and Keith, they have a copy of it. Sandy doesn't have yet, but I recommend purchasing it, Sandy. And then we've often have run competitions, well, friendly competitions, trackings, different type of activities with rewards. So it's been good over the years, absolutely.
Well, I'm thinking too that part of it is the energy of momentum as well, because if you're ordering one for yourself, then you're thinking about learning the system for yourself. But as we know that we'll be connecting and being in consistency of activity, then I've got mine right behind me here where I've got another 3 copies, and I have them already available so that my energy is in that expectation of growth.
Good point, Phyllis. Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions for Susanne while we have her on the line before we wrap up? Sandy or Keith?
No, I'm good.
Susanne, are you finding that you're phoning people more personally, one-to-one, like on the phone as well, along with texting, in that, it's been some time since we've connected. I think of my cousin and such that I've seen over the years, but he's been ordering, him and his wife, for 24 years. I thought, wow, we got to get together. So that's part of what's helped me to create some new momentum, is to phone and say hello, or text and say hello, more than I may have otherwise.
Well, with what everybody's going through right now, I think that, like I said, this has been an interesting couple of months, right? So, we don't have to function as an island. We can be very involved and making a difference in people's lives. So one of the things about our USANA business, and I've said this way before any of this happened, but we get paid for being the kind of people we want to be, which is, caring and communicating with our family and friends and loved ones. But our lives get so busy and so hectic and so crazy, we seldom put, the time toward it in some cases. So now we've had a little bit more time, but that's not true for everyone, I know. But if we're going to do something part-time, how cool is it that we can be those awesome characters and make a phone call to be nice, to be kind, to be interested, to do a hot point possibly. But yes, our businesses are in different stages. A couple of you or 3 of you have more senior businesses. You've got people that you've spoken to and sponsored. And Sandy, your business is newer. So you're on the early phase of, introducing it to people, and the others are doing that plus reflecting and reconnecting with a lot of people along the way. And some have gotten, well, life has changed. I mean, their kids could have grown up, now they have more time, or their health has changed, now they need different products, or it could be so many reasons. And if we actually communicate with them, be amazed what we'd find out. So then we can help them again.
Good point. Great. Well, thank you, Susanne. Really appreciate it. It was great to hear from you again. I mean, we still see each other, but I know it's not the same, as we don't have our weekly meetings at the Viscount, and that personal connection. So it's great to meet on Zoom.
Yes. No, this is perfect. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it. And Sandy, if you do want some books, you can go to laserfocus.net, or you can message me, and maybe we can do a COVID handoff or something.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay.
Incognito.
Maybe we can go for a walk in the park and hand them off. You never know.
That's what I'm going to do. Go for walks with people.
I'm not listening to the COVID. I'm a rebel. I do my own thing. My body's in great shape.
I like that too.
And it'll deal with it.
Yeah.
The body's built to deal with the crap. So
Good.
that,
Rebel